The first rule of insurance is don't pay a claim unless you have to. The second rule is if you have to pay a claim, delay writing the cheque.
If you've got a mental illness, you want a seamless, happy, encouraging process that helps you recover and be financially supported. You don't want to be put through the ringer to then get paid. In the end, it's counterproductive.
So what do they do when they get worn down? Well, they give up. And of course, insurers know that there's a proportion of claimants who will give up. So we've seen situations where claimants already have schizophrenia and are of a paranoid nature, and then they discover that they're being tracked by surveillance operatives, and they're not actually sure whether or not they are in fact being tracked or whether it's something which is going on in their head.
This is the opportunity for us to make the changes, because if we don't, suicide will continue to be the biggest cause of death for Australians under 45. Marriages will continue to dissolve. People will struggle through university and school. We need to change the stigma and we need to get people help.
Australia's insurance giants have a shocking record when it comes to the treatment of people with mental illness. The industry's repeatedly promised to clean up its act, but still every year thousands of mentally ill Australians are forced through gruelling claims procedures. Tonight, a former top executive at the life insurance giant TAL is blowing the whistle on industry practices after he himself had to make a mental health claim. Pat McGrath's been following his journey.
This is where I built my dream, and this is where my dream fell over. If this matter that I have with TAL goes to court, and if I have to come back here to fight them, God help them.
Patrick O'Connor doesn't look like a man afraid of a fight, but he's been dreading coming to Sydney to prepare for his biggest battle yet. His opponent is his former employer, the life insurance giant TAL, or TAL.
TAL, insuring this Australian life.
It's not about money. I was one of their own. If they treat me this way, what's to stop them treating other people this way? If the system for how mental health is treated in the insurance industry is reflected by my experience, then that is disgusting and it has to be changed.
From humble beginnings as an insurance broker, Patrick O'Connor climbed the ladder to become TAL's head of sales. But 6 years ago, while his career was taking off, his mental health went into a freefall.
I was on the cusp of achieving pretty much all of the goals that I'd set for myself. And instead of being happy or euphoric about that, I was overcome with these crippling waves of anxiety. These panic attacks that just left me literally prone on the floor.
Patrick got medical help, but he realised he could no longer handle the pressure of work.
And after talking to my doctor, we made the decision to talk to my manager, and we made it, I guess, a difficult decision that I had to leave the business.
TAL offered Patrick a redundancy. He took it, but his mental illness, by this time diagnosed as treatment-resistant anxiety and depression, worsened.
And it got to the point in June of 2015 where I made a decision that I wasn't able to support myself, and I lodged an income protection claim with TAL.
Patrick also claimed on his 2 disability insurance policies with TAL. It paid out one in 2016, but last year it declined the second, saying it only covered illnesses that started when he was working. TAL pointed to the fine print in his policy.
Under this particular policy, insurance ceases on the date that employment ends, and TAL is arguing that he didn't become sick until after his employment ended, even though it was fully aware that he had been struggling with mental health problems for months in the lead up to his departure.
The big insurers are grappling with a massive surge in mental health related claims. Data from one insurer shows the proportion of mental health related claims jumped from about 10% to almost 20% of all claims in just 5 years, a huge toll on profits.
When people make a total permanent disability claim, it's actually saying that someone will never, ever work again. And that should be a decision that's only made as a last resort.
The industry insists that there's no agenda of delaying payouts for people with mental illness.
Insurance companies want to pay valid claims as quickly as they can, as easily as they can. And the figures from APRA show that 90% of all claims are paid in the first instance.
After lodging an appeal to TAL's denial, Patrick O'Connor returned to his home on the New South Wales south coast. He's spent time reflecting on how TAL treated people with mental illness when he was among the company's top ranks, and he's not proud.
I'm pretty disgusted, to be honest, that was what my life consisted of.
Now, Patrick is publicly calling out TAL for how it treats people with mental illness. He believes frontline staff at the company worked hard to look after customers' well-being, but in executive meetings he attended, the company's focus was on minimising payouts for customers, or in industry speak, getting them off claim.
One of the key parts of an executive meeting that you would have on a weekly basis was profitability, and without a doubt, the biggest variable that you have is claims, and the biggest variable within claims is the mental health conditions. It was about how many we got back to work or how many that we got off claim. We weren't celebrating successes about improving people's lives, we were celebrating financial successes.
I think the insurance industry is basically out of step with the 21st century expectations of real people who live in the real world.
Beyond Blue has just finished a survey of people with mental illness who have tried to claim on their income protection or total permanent disability insurance. They've shared the results exclusively with 730.
Of those 1,800 people that we spoke to, about 50% reported that their mental health suffered as a result of the claims process. People are more likely to be subjected to quite intrusive examinations. These processes are having a very detrimental effect for everyday people who have, in good faith, bought products, paid their premiums, become unwell, and then expect to be treated just like anyone else.
The industry is working very hard to try to understand this better. And one of the things that we've done is introduce a standard such that every single person in an insurance company that deals with customers face to face has mental health training now.
In a statement, TAL said it doesn't comment on individual cases, but it rejected Patrick O'Connor's criticism about how it handles mental illness, saying it judges every case on its merits. 8 months after Patrick lodged his claim, and 5 months after he was rejected, 3 months after he lodged an appeal, last week TAL told him it was going to pay up. That was 2 days after 730 contacted the company about this story, but TAL maintains the timing was simply coincidental.
So today is a good day.
Patrick's own fight is now over, but he wants the world to know how the industry treats people with mental illness.
Now, in the space of 48 hours, we now have a letter admitting full liability, albeit with, thanking us for our patience. Well, I don't have any patience. What I have is money, and if I didn't have that money, I wouldn't have been able to last 8 months.